Hey y'all, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and Brandon Gill just brilliantly dismantles Jasmine Crockett in front of the rest of Congress. She might want to rethink what she has to say here. Let's dive in.
My colleagues from across the aisle have decided that they are going to make immigrants the boogeyman. It's insanity to me, but they also are showing compassion for victims, which they should, but they have no compassion for people that are contributing to making us great in this country. So, interestingly enough, I'm curious to know, Mr. Beer, if you know if immigrants contributed to these particular crimes. There was a mass shooting in Buffalo, New York that killed a number of African Americans as they were trying to shop for groceries. Was the defendant an immigrant in that case? Do you know?
No, he was a U.S.-born citizen.
Thank you so much. Charleston, South Carolina, there were black churchgoers trying to praise the Lord. They were killed. Was that an immigrant that perpetrated that or not?
No, that was a U.S.-born citizen.
Thank you so much. Now, coming home to Texas, there was an El Paso shooting. Do you know if that was an immigrant or not?
No, they were targeting immigrants in that case.
In fact, each of these cases, it was white supremacists. And so the last unanimous consent that I'd asked for is this article that states that white supremacists behind over 80% of extremism-related U.S. murders in 2022.
Without objection.
Thank you so much.
Gentlelady's time has expired.
Nothing excites me more than the thought of President Trump initiating the largest deportation operation in American history. I'd like to remind the committee that the purpose of our immigration system is for the benefit of American citizens, not foreigners or anybody else. For the past 4 years, Democrats have facilitated the invasion of over 10 million illegal aliens into our country. Open borders grow the welfare state, they depress American wages, strain our education and healthcare system, price our working class out of owning a home, and flood our communities with violence and drugs. Mr. Beer, and as well as my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, you're intellectualizing about illegal alien crime notwithstanding. I'd like to remind you that the correct number of American citizens murdered or raped by illegal aliens is 0. Americans have learned firsthand that importing the third world will turn America into the third world. So in light of the chaos of the past 4 years, the question that has come up earlier is, why are our Democrat colleagues so determined to flood our country with millions of illegal aliens? And I'd like to suggest that perhaps it's because they benefit from it politically. Remember that every state is apportioned congressional seats based on population, not based on citizenship. Counting non-citizens in congressional apportionment has resulted in more seats for blue states and fewer congressional seats for red states. For instance, excluding non-citizens, California would have an estimated 3 fewer congressional seats. In Ohio, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia, traditionally red states would each have an estimated 1 additional seat. Right now, in a political environment where Republicans have a 2-seat majority in the House of Representatives, the presence of millions of illegal aliens in America could quite literally change the balance of power in our country. But the problem doesn't stop at congressional apportionment. The ultimate goal of mass illegal immigration is mass amnesty and citizenship for illegal aliens, which of course means ultimately allowing them to vote. And that's not a conspiracy theory either. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer himself said it just 2 years ago, and I'm quoting him, "Our ultimate goal is to help the dreamers but get a path to citizenship for all 11 million or however many undocumented there are here." That is their words, not mine. And it appears that for the past 4 years, providing a path to citizenship for illegal aliens is precisely what the Biden administration has been doing.
Folks, that's the game. That's the play. That's the end run in order to keep the Democrat Party viable in American politics. The whole point and purpose that they've been trying to achieve ever since the GOP basically dismantled all the ridiculous parts of the New Deal and the Great Society that were not working. And so the Democrat Party, in order to stay relevant, now thinks that it's okay to flood this nation with illegal migrants in order to change the balance of power. There's a lot to unpack here, but we've actually got to start, and I hate doing this, but we've got to take a look at Ronald Reagan and go, you might have screwed up something, bud. I think in 1986, far before I was born, there was an amnesty bill that was designed to sort of placate and sort of end the problem of migrant workers, particularly in California. And it was, the idea behind it was to give them an extra voice, allow them to unionize. Cesar Chavez was a huge union leader at the time, I believe. He might have been assassinated before that. My timeline's fuzzy on that info. I'm trying to work my way up here. I'm currently writing about the early 1800s when I'm going back over American history. But the reality is, there is a problem with illegal immigration here in the United States, and it got started because of a major amnesty bill back in the 80s. And so the Democrats took that problem and then realized that, oh, this is a way that you can bring more people into the country, count it towards the census, and then gain more seats in the House of Representatives. They've given up on the Senate. The Democrat Party has essentially given up on any attempt to get back in power in the Senate, which is kind of a good thing. However, if in order to stay relevant, that means that they have to win the House. They have to make sure there's a divided government. And one of the only ways they have left in their arsenal, because their arguments aren't good enough, because their arm of the media, which is the mainstream media, CNN, MSNBC, they are Democrat mouthpieces still to this day. And so their best bet is to allow so many illegal immigrants in certain parts of the country so it counts against the census, so it dilutes Republican power and raises Democrat power. Man, talk about the 3/5 clause here, buddy. That's the game. That's the game. They have been steadily losing power ever since 2010, when the Republican Party realized that they can actually change power dynamics by working at the state level to actually flip the South red. Remember, folks, states like Georgia, states like the Commonwealth of Kentucky, those states in the South were still heavily Democrat in the early 2000s. All right, their state houses were still parts of the Democrat Party. The state senates, on the other hand, had flipped by that time because the number of senators is smaller and therefore the voting range is larger. You can't gerrymander that many maps. It's just not possible. So that's the Democrat plan, and Brandon Gill lays it out in front of the entirety of Congress. I can't believe it's really been said out loud before, but that's the game. And meanwhile, Jasmine Crockett, there's something big here that I really need to address. Jasmine Crockett is standing up for her community, and good for her. But the reality is, she's talking about racial violence when she's refusing to look at the problem of illegal immigration. We've, here in the state of Georgia, had to deal with the tragedy of Laken Riley, a young woman who went to the University of Georgia at their new nursing program, because Georgia is becoming a huge state for people to retire to and live out the remainder of their days, because our laws are set up in a certain way. The same way snowbirds go down to Arizona and particularly Florida, and now it's happening in Georgia as well. So we're needing more nurses. And so the University of Georgia got ahead of that trend, opened up their own nursing program. Laken Riley attended it. And unfortunately for her, Democrats run Athens-Clarke County and have turned it into a third world country. And I don't mean that lightly. I mean that literally. The roads there are terrible. The way everything's set up just feels like it's stuck in a depression. And the University of Georgia is supposedly the resort that you're supposed to stay on. Well, an illegal migrant came to that resort and decided to do unspeakable things to Laken Riley. Okay, that's what happened in her case. And this is happening across the country. This is happening in Democrat states, it's happening in Republican states, it's happening in Democrat counties, it's happening in Republican counties. This is not something that's just limited to Democrat areas. However, Athens-Clarke County is completely dominated by Democrats, and that seems to be sort of the hub of all these unspeakable crimes. And so, Jasmine Crockett is looking the other way and trying to project about issues that people are starting to realize don't really have any place in the zeitgeist anymore. As a matter of fact, left-wing violence is getting crazier and crazier with the LA riots, which, by the way, there are investigations going on here, and there's something that doesn't feel right about these riots. Something is changing in the United States, and the Democrat Party knows it's going to be left behind, and so they're playing these extra games, trying to be as relevant as possible, and they're just playing catch-up at this point. It's a sad thing to see, but it's a good thing for the United States. And Brandon Gill is pointing this out as the Democrat Party gets more and more irrelevant, and as America finally starts to deal with our own problems here on the home front, particularly when it comes to illegal immigration. Folks, my name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on Politburo. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Until then, y'all have a good one.